On this stellar edition of Game, it's some classic RPG action as the frigate chills out with some Nordic types in the lands of Skyrim. We take a look at some of the must-buy titles out in shops right now. And we head online where it's all sneaking around and losing limbs akimbo. Joysticks at the ready, this is Game. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of your favorite go-to video game show. You're with me, Kelly, and we're about to embark on another half an hour of gaming glory as I bring you the ins and the outs of all things delightfully digital. So we make our first stop of the day with our resident gaming know-it-all, the Frigate. He's been getting all excited and rather worked up over this latest installment of The Elder Scrolls by Bethesda Game Studios. Coming 5 years after Oblivion, Skyrim has been eagerly anticipated by many and it has received critical acclaim worldwide. The question is though, what did the frags think? Well, let's find out in this week's edition of The Review.
Hey, thanks Kelly. Yep, it's Fraggy back in the gaming den this week as we get lost in a game that I've been seriously waiting for the longest time. It's the latest chapter in the Elder Scrolls series, so let's get ready to enter the lands of Skyrim. Now, first off, let me tell you, it's crazy difficult doing a review of this game, or for that matter, any of the games in the series, because when it comes to role-playing games, few games are as gigantic as anything from the Elder Scrolls. A series famous for introducing us to the concept of free choice, Elder Scrolls games were the first to allow gamers to play exactly how they liked, letting you loose in a huge world inhabited by some of the most interesting characters to grace video game storytelling. Taking a team of 100 people just over 3 years to make, Skyrim is the latest gem in Bethesda's RPG crown, as you play a character gifted with the voice, an enigma known as a Dragonborn, on a mission to find out why the dragons have returned to the land and just how to stop them. Looks like you got your work cut out for you, so tic-tacs at the ready. Let's get ready to experience some dragon's breath as we explore the mountains and marshes of Skyrim. Now, if you've never picked up an Elder Scrolls game, the main strength of Skyrim is just the amazing world that the developers have made and the stories that you can find in it. Now, a lot of games these days are huge, but with over 60,000 lines of script, voiced by some 70 actors,
you should focus on fun.
And a game world which is roughly 41 square kilometers in size, Skyrim is a labor of love.
There's a nip in the air.
Just roaming around, the environments themselves are breathtaking. From scenic vistas to ancient dungeons and ice forests, each area coming with its own distinct look and feel. But what good is a beautiful world without anything to do in it? And that's where Skyrim gets major props, because aside from its beauty, another unique point is just how alive the world feels, with tons of side missions and activities to take part in. Now, I started the game with the review on my mind thinking, okay Dragonborn, just get through the game's main story, but before I knew it, more and more I kept getting distracted, and before you know it, I was on the fast lane down a slippery slope as an assassin of the Dark Brotherhood, on some tangent giving morality lessons to a 10-year-old. Also, as someone who's logged over 160 hours playing Oblivion, I love the changes they made to the leveling system, with players given even more choice as to how they want to create their character. Unlike most role-playing games in which you have to arbitrarily assign stat points to your character, or choose a particular class like a magic user or an archer, leveling up in Skyrim is done simply by playing how you want to play. Feel like being a thief? Then, my friend, start sneaking around and picking purses. Want to be an all-powerful mage? Just start casting spells. Want to be a hulking warrior? Well, toughen that hide and improve your blade skills. It's really all up to you. Also, if you're a fan of hand-to-hand combat, you'll be glad to know that you now have full control over just what you equip and in which hand. And in addition to a quick access favorites bar, which provides you instant access to your most used items and spells, you can now also dual wield weapons and even spells, all of which work to make the fighting in Skyrim such a blast. Now, unfortunately, due to its size, Skyrim does ship with its share of annoying bugs. And even though most of these are pretty easy to forgive, they do kind of take you out of this otherwise all-immersive experience. Now, we've already spoken about the improvements to the graphics, but I wish some of that could have trickled down to the animation scripting, because when it comes to NPC interaction, Skyrim leaves quite a bit to be desired. Characters will stare blankly into space after conversations have ended, or talk over each other without regard for one, who else is talking, or two, if there's anyone even around listening to them.
Honest day's work in your life for all that coin you carry.
Also, gamers with high-end PCs might want to note that due to this game being a multi-platform release, textures on the whole have this general low-resolution look to them. Looks nice from a distance, just don't get too close. Now, on the whole, these instances all come across as minor annoyances, but when everything else is so polished, it really makes the flaws stand out. You know what? In my opinion, if you've only got time to sit down and play one RPG this year, or maybe you're an action fan looking to get his role-playing feet wet, then Skyrim is the game to get. It's an amazing game all about getting lost and finding your path. A game about hunting and logging, about gathering and stealing. It's about slaying dragons and giants and everything that comes in between. It's got everything from magic to music schools, and with the tweaks to the system, is now also one of the most accessible role-playing games out there. It's a shining example of the best that the genre has to offer, trust me. Check this one out.
Thank you, Fraggy. Can't wait to get lost in Skyrim. A fitting addition to the Elder Scrolls series indeed. Well, I hope you guys enjoy that one. All right, time for a quick breather and a quick blast of commercials. But don't worry, game will be back in a jiffy. And when we return, penny pinchers, listen up, because we're about to showcase all the best games for no money. Great titles that won't break the bank. And it's our weekly breakdown of the best games available on store shelves. Stay tuned, Game will be right back. Welcome back to Game. If you've just joined us, well, what do you know? You're just in time for your weekly dose of free-to-play gems. That's right, it's time to partake in the fruits of our labor. Now, each week we spend hours trawling through the mountain of muck that is the internet to pick out the best freebies to ensure that you get your gaming fix. And this week is no exception, so get ready to take down those URLs as we prepare to go online. Leading the way in this week's online, we begin with a curious little flash offering, all based around the game of Lose a Limb. In Pursuit of Hat, help our strange minion mate retrieve his headgear from the far reaches of the land. Now, the interesting gimmick comes from the fact that the only way to crawl through small spaces or even activate buttons is by biting your limbs off. I mean, why bother with paperweights when you can just use your arm? Moving about is all done using the arrow keys, and a quick press of the spacebar is all it takes to rip your appendages off like a boss. So if you think you've got the stomach to handle all this manic mutilation, the Madcap Adventures in Pursuit of Hat can be played by following the link below. Time now for number 2 on this week's online list as we sneak about the dark corridors in Stealth Bastard. In this speedy take on the stealth genre, it's all about crawling around and avoiding cameras as you try to make it to the exits without being seen. Also, don't forget, watch out armed robots along the way with more than a passing fancy for filling our hero with bullets. Looking a little like Splinter Cell with a case of the minis, this punishingly sneaky adventure does a great job at ramping up the difficulty as you progress, getting harder and harder as you go along. With a musical score which does a great job of setting the scene for a night of mystery and espionage, if you're a little camera shy, you might just want to check this one out. And finally, to end this edition of Online, it's time to revisit some of our favourite comic book characters as we explore DC Universe Online. That's right, the hugely, massively multiplayer online game is now free to play. A game all about the joys of creating your own superhero and letting him loose on the streets, this is a comic book fan's wet dream come to life. Now, like any other MMO, your character can accept quests from various NPCs around the map. And each time you complete a quest, you're rewarded with XP and money, which you can spend by purchasing new abilities and attacks. Do note, though, that you'll have to cough up some dosh for some of the additional content.
Sentinels of magic will protect them.
But by and large, most of the content is free. Hours of fun for the cost of nothing. It's a call to arms at the address below. I love DC characters. I always thought myself to be a real-life Wonder Woman. No? Fine. But seriously, the idea of creating and customizing your very own superhero or villain is pretty neat. And it seems that more and more game studios are realizing that free is the way to go. Better for you and your wallet. Moving on, the game world has been rather busy these past few weeks with impressive launches and anniversaries to boot. Frags has very kindly condensed the best of it all to bring you this next segment. First up, a game that looks like a cross between Little Big Planet, Grand Theft Auto and a Gorillaz music video? Intrigued? I bet you are. Here's the wrap.
Sideway New York is a title all about running through the graffiti-covered walls of the city and dealing with paintings that have come to life and want to kill you. With the help of a diverse moveset, punch and kick the living graffiti out of the art, all the while parkouring your way through the painted pitfalls and traps. Now, as you can see, it's basically a 2D side-scroller, but what makes Sideway special is its unique use of perspective shifts. You'll be able to jump onto rooftops, flip over bridges, and pretty much any surface in the concrete jungle, making the game a strange hybrid of 2D and 3D platforming. A fast-paced title that's big on the unpredictable, Sideway New York is available now. Moving on, in case you've been living under a rock for the last 4 months, the latest installment of one of console gaming's biggest hitters is now out in stores. That's right, we shine the spotlight on Modern Warfare 3. The latest addition to the Call of Duty franchise, a series famous for its Bruckheimer-like set pieces, Part 3 sure has got a lot to live up to. Taking charge of various characters in a globe-trotting military adventure, see the return of familiar faces such as Captain Soap McTavish, and Russian informant Nikolai. New in this year's release, something called Survival Mode, where you and another player fight off wave after wave of enemies. Pretty cool. Think of it as COD's version of Horde Mode. With a staggering 6.5 million copies sold on day one alone, gets swept up in the spectacle of big guns and big explosions. Modern Warfare 3 is out now. And finally, to close out this week's list of the best games for your buck, we spent some time cozying up to the godfather of the console shooter. Initially released a decade ago, the original Halo was a hallmark of game design, and during the early years of the Xbox, was responsible for selling more than 50% of Microsoft's consoles. This year, the game that started it all is back with a vengeance, with an all-new remastered version of the original Combat Evolved, built using all new technology. Featuring the same storyline that we all remember, the remake also supports a couple of nifty features, such as support for a cooperative campaign and competitive multiplayer modes. With 7 classic multiplayer maps remade from previous games in the series, Halo Anniversary also supports Kinect. Not sure how that will all work out. But if you're keen for a little walk down Memory Canyon Pass or down for some fun times around the Pillar of Autumn, the Anniversary edition of Halo Combat Evolved is out now.
Happy 10th anniversary, Halo. We hope you'll have many more Covenant-blasting years to come. All right, time for another quick break, but don't worry, Game will be right back, and when we return, we give you a peek at what you can look forward to in the wake of the holiday blockbusters. And it's a behind-the-scenes look at a game many are calling the next evolution in massively multiplayer online games. You're with me, Kelly, and this is Game. Thanks for staying with me. And you're not going to regret it, especially not when I'm about to tell you about all the awesomeness you're going to witness. So, let me ask you, what happens when the superheroes have all gone and all you have left are the real people? No powers, no fancy gadgets, just your typical run-of-the-mill average Joes and Janes. Well, let's take a look at what the future holds in this week's edition of The Preview.
Blasting its way onto this edition of The Preview, we take a look at just what happens to Gotham City when all the superheroes and supervillains decide to go on an extended holiday. In Gotham City Imposters, it's every Batman and Joker wannabe for himself, as players take to the streets in a madcap homage to the classic rivalry between the two foes. Featuring a pretty robust character creator, which allows you to fully customize your costume and weaponry, turn the city upside down in this exaggerated take on first-person shooting. Available as a digital download, Imposters features online action for up to 8 players and an assortment of weaponry from the conventional to the outright absurd. With a big focus on bringing the fun factor, Gotham City Imposters is shaping up pretty nicely, so look out for it when it hits the shelves in January next year.
Let's go.
Also upcoming, we step back into the oh-so-hard-to-fill shoes of Commander Shepard as we look forward to the release of Mass Effect 3. The latest installment and also the final chapter in the trilogy, Part 3 looks to tie up the sweeping space opera, and from the looks of some early footage, the word epic seems to be fitting.
Firing now.
Set against the backdrop of a galactic battle between all intelligent life in the universe and the Deadly Reapers, Part 3 will also feature a much talked about 4-player multiplayer co-op mode. Interesting. In addition, gamers can look forward to an improved cover system, as well as all-round better mobility on the battlefield. Due for release on all 3 major platforms, look out for Mass Effect 3 when it hits the shelves in March next year. And finally, to close out this installment of the preview, we explore a game that's turned quite a few heads at this year's E3. This is Prey 2. A sequel to 2006's Prey, Part 2 is an upcoming futuristic first-person shooter. Playing the role of Killian Samuels, a former US Marshal turned alien bounty hunter. We can't wait to see what else this Blade Runner-esque title has in store. Featuring an open world just begging to be explored, look out for a host of new and unseen weapons, as well as a smorgasbord of characters from the alien underbelly. So stack up and get in position as we get ready to breach the intergalactic unknown sometime next year.
Looks like 2012 is going to be a jam-packed gaming year, but 2011 isn't over yet, and there are still a couple of games yet to make their mark on this year's calendar. Some late entries, but that doesn't make them any less worthy. Stepping into the ring is a first and third-person shooter that's about to make waves here in Asia. This free-to-play goodie has been kept under wraps for the longest time, but the launch is nigh, and we feel that now is the time to step inside Firefall.
When we announced Firefall back in September at PAX West, we were thrilled about the response that people had for the game. For PAX East, we wanted to step it up and actually allow gamers to have a hands-on experience with Firefall.
We've been working on this game for a very long time, and when you've been laboring on something, you know, you look at it day in, day out, it's really hard for us to have a good feel for how well it's really going to be received outside of Red 5, right? You don't know. So for us, you know, we were excited, but also apprehensive at the same time, because when you let somebody play something for the first time, it's really kind of a, you know, there is no hiding whether or not it's going to be fun or not, right? It's a point of truth.
So of course we were a little bit nervous, but excited to see people's response. Hey guys, you just check out Firefall?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so good. That was really good. Yeah. The open world stuff just looks absolutely freaking amazing. The graphics, obscene.
What was that?
These guys came back. They were here yesterday.
Love the game. Fantastic. Can't wait.
Awesome.
Get me in the beta.
Getting their reactions after they played it and hearing how positive they were was very worthwhile.
One of the things about first-person shooters these days is they really focus on like realism and all that, but this is more like kind of a little cartoony and so kind of like really smooth and glide. Like I feel like I can glide around really easy and I can do what I want to do, you know?
Yeah. I'm running around on a jetpack using a sniper rifle in an MMO, and it feels good. That doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
For us, it was apprehension, but then, you know, going there and seeing how excited people got from their hands-on experience with Firefall, validation.
An enemy with that, you'll freeze their
So you're liking Firefall a bit?
their energy to
Dude, I can't wait until you guys release it. I feel like taking one of these computers with me just to have the game.
Honestly, one of the most exciting things for me was having a chance to meet some of the folks from our community forums. We had people from all over the country drive or fly to Boston to join us, to meet the dev team and to have a hands-on look at Firefall.
Yeah, for me, the best moment was doing the Wookiee next to the guy in the Wookiee suit. No, in all seriousness, it was actually getting to meet people that are excited about Firefall have their expectations for how cool they thought it was going to be met. But conversely, also, like the people who had never heard of us that walked up and says, hey, this looks like Tribes. Like, well, there's reasons for that. Play it and tell us what you think.
I played a lot of Tribes back in the day, so the jetpack feel is really great. It's great to get back to that, and a lot of people have tried to sort of mess that up since Tribes, to be honest. And just the weapon feel in general, just the tuning of it seems really, really tight. It's really satisfying to play.
We also had a strong faculty from the community website joining us, and actually they challenged us to a dev match, which was particularly exciting to me. It wasn't about the net result, who won.
Red 5 guys, man, they know their game, so they're good.
You know, it's really not, it's not important, man. I will say that the dev team did quite well. Maybe they had a slight advantage, but really it was about keeping it real and getting to know the community and just having a really fun time together. And actually being able to share what we've worked on for so long with people who are just excited about Firefall.
All right, so it sounds like you guys have been back to the booth a couple times. Yeah, we've been back like 6 or 7 times each or something like that.
It's very, very fun.
Awesome, man.
Most excited I've been about a game in a long time.
Excited for the game before, now I'm pumped.
Yeah, bring it on, baby.
Not long to wait now. December is when this baby is due, and I'm sure, given its free status, that many of you will take to it like a kid in a candy store. With that, we say so long for this week, but remember, if you fancy watching the best bits of game once more, head on to espnstar.com/game, or if you'd like to chat to us or any of our 15,000 fans, facebook.com/ESSgame is the place. And the links to online will be up on twitter.com/ESSgame real soon, so get following. Well, that's all we've got for now, but I'll just leave you with this one last thing. Enjoy.